And you're asking Apple to write a software that undermines its own prime product. So that's never been done before. How can you expect them to do that? Why would you think they would comply with that?
Well, I think the way this case started is interesting, and everyone knows about the San Bernardino case and the roots thereof. But this actually began with a request from the customer for Apple to help us. The owner of the phone is the county that employed one of the terrorists who's now deceased. And they are the customer here. They own the phone. They went to Apple and said, as your customer, will you help us? We need to essentially provide a way for the government to try and get into this phone. And by the way, we're not asking Apple to go into the phone and extract anything or, in fact, break into the phone. What we're saying is disable the password destruct feature that would wipe the phone clean. We will then try and guess the password with our systems. We will then try and extract the data. We're not asking them to do anything beyond that. And we also don't want them to give us what they use to disable the password feature. This is something that they can do, and we hope that they will ultimately acquiesce to the customer's request and do it. And I think part of the issue here is again, it's privacy is clearly very important here. It's important to all of us, as it should be. It's important to the Department of Justice as an institution. It's important to me as the Attorney General. But we have always looked to our legal system to balance the very, very important privacy interests that we all have with the law enforcement needs that we also have as a society. And so we've been balancing this for years. It's not that unusual a request.
No, but the problem is that there are other missions, and even within other aspects of the administration, we're hearing these different voices. Because we heard Ash Carter, for instance, say that encryption is absolutely essential to the Pentagon, and that a law written in an atmosphere of anger or grief is not likely to be the right answer. So how does this get resolved? Because there are so many different factors at play. And in a way, these issues now have such an international component to them, which they didn't have in the past. And there are so many different agendas, in a sense. And since the post-Snowden world, it's almost as if like the FBI is paying the price of the NASA overreach.
And that may be, those reactions do occur, and I can understand that. And I think Ash is right, encryption is important. We all use encryption, and we want strong encryption. I think what's been interesting about this debate, as I've talked about it to a number of groups, is that people sort of view it as, this phone is completely locked, and that it's all or nothing. But the reality is we all use encryption in so many different ways. If you were to go to your bank and say, I need to look at something that happened in last month's statement, you want them to protect your data. But if they were to say to you, oh, Tina, I'm so sorry, you gave us that information, but now it's encrypted and no one can get to it, and therefore you can't use it, you would be surprised at that. If you went to your doctor and said, we're going to have another MRI, let's look at the one from last year, and he said, yeah, I've got that on file, but it's encrypted. So we want that protection. We need that protection for sensitive information. Those are the two most common in terms of personal information: our healthcare information, our financial information, our government information. But companies use data all the time, and they find ways to protect it. It is really a part of life. So it's been an interesting part of the debate that it's been defined as, once this information on the phone goes into a black box, it's perfectly okay that it never comes out again. When the reality is, we all protect our data, and then we all find a way to use it in a way that helps us, but keeps it from the eyes of other people. So that balance has been done for years by all kinds of companies and by all kinds of people. So we're asking that it be applied here through a legal process. That again, if they don't want to acquiesce to the customer's request, we've gotten a court order that says we have probable cause to believe there may be information on this phone. We don't know, but we have an obligation as part of this investigation to leave no stone unturned. And that is, quite frankly, what I hear when I travel this country and I talk to people about any case at all. The idea that there'd be evidence sitting somewhere and we would say, it's just too hard for us to get into it, is not something that I can say to anyone who's been the victim of a crime. And so we go to court, we have a neutral third party look at this issue, and the law has said for years, again, if a third party can help, they can be required to help. But we'll see where this goes.